Welcome to More Action, the podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. I'm your host, Chris Brien, and together we have candid conversations with industry leaders to uncover valuable wisdom and lessons learned. My hope is you use these lessons to intentionally take more action in business and life. I hope you share and enjoy. Back by popular demand, I am having no one other than Mr. Chris Brien join me on today's episode. All of these episodes, this will be our fourth episode together. That's it. The other three, I know, seems like a lot more to me too. No, all other episodes that we have recorded have actually been some of my most downloaded. So I know that you guys like this. And I think, we are very real and raw when we share just kind of all the things of running a business together, scaling a business as husband and wife, and all the things that come with it. And those of you that are new to the show, welcome. Super excited. I might have a crazy announcement here in the next few episodes, so make sure you hit subscribe and hang on tight. Subscribe over on YouTube there as well and connect with us on LinkedIn. But Chris and I run Brien Contracting, which is a commercial. Oh, he's showing you on YouTube if you're watching it. It's a commercial general contracting firm here in Scottsdale. We service kind of the greater Maricopa County area right now. We have seen incredible growth, and we not only in the business, but really in each other too, like a significant amount. And so we wanted to kind of come on here. And by we, I mean me. He is reluctant and does not want to come on these shows. But they're always so good. Once we get him talking, he's so good. But we wanted to just kind of share some technology things that we've been doing, predictions for the future, experiences that we've had, just even like learning and working together, and just all the different things. So thanks for coming back. There's going to be more this year in 2025. He doesn't even know it yet. He doesn't even know my plans, but he's not supposed to. So let's start with kind of technology. Last year, so 2024, and well, it was really 2024, we're implementing the last piece of our technology investment in the business right now.
Yeah.
And maybe talk a little bit about kind of the other technologies, just very broad, because our audience is in the AEC industry, but they also are business owners, career-driven professionals. So just kind of share, the product, but like why we did it and what we've seen from it. You share your perspective.
Well, it starts all the way back in 2023. That's when we joined Procore. Procore is a project management software for the construction industry, mainly commercial, I would say. There are residential versions out there that if someone's listening and wants to go that route, one comes to mind. It's called Buildertrend. Buildertrend was actually a really good one that we had tried. It's less expensive than Procore, but it didn't have all of the stuff we needed for like submittals and RFIs and change orders and stuff that were integrated. So summer 2023, we decided to go forward with Procore, and that was to help really not only from a management perspective, but like not really needing to hire any like admin or office work, because that system is capable of replacing an office employee. Sometimes maybe in more areas than one, just with the amount of data that you can feed it and what it does for you. So that was our first one that we rocked through 2000 all for a year. So we didn't add anything. We played around with some scheduling software. Haven't again really found anything that I like that's great for scheduling. It's like the default back to Microsoft projects. But
real quick before you move on, because I want everybody listening in to, when I say like an investment in technology, if you're thinking about in your business right now, like whether you want to invest or whether you see the benefit of it, that was really kind of why I wanted to have this conversation, because you have your salespeople, right? I mean, this is their job, is to sell you on why you need it. But here's even if you guys aren't in the construction industry, here's like what happens when we invest in technology. We saved on a person, we saved on our labor costs. That's something that, they'll talk about. It actually did that for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh
so
yeah.
when you're looking at different technologies, that's definitely something that you want to take into consideration. And we could even go deeper on like AI and where that's going to go, just specifically in construction. But don't share any numbers specifically, but like, what is that cost investment? Because it's a freaking investment, guys.
Well, I mean, for us, Procore is pretty upfront with their costs. I mean, they're what 1% of revenue is about what they charge.
Hmm.
They're on a interesting model that, and they can tell how much you're running through their system.
Hmm.
So when you come up for renewal, they need to know what are you anticipating in doing volume next year, and that's how they come up with their pricing. So I'm sure when you get to a certain point, that kind of stops and it becomes more of like a guaranteed cap or something like that. I'm guessing. I don't know, but for growing companies, it can get relatively expensive. So, and it could be a shock to a lot of companies who are larger already and not growing and thinking about making that transition and realizing, hey, we do 100 million a year. We want to kind of, we've got all the people we need, but we want to organize things better. And they're not really going to look at it as like, hey, I'm going to fire some people because I want to use Procore. They're just going to integrate it. And then you look at that and you're like, man, $100 million, that's, yeah,
1%.
1% is the
And if you
number.
grow next year.
Yeah, that's a big number.
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, but like that's kind of how because we needed
Mhm.
some way to kind of organize a little bit better to continue to be as efficient as we were as we grew. So that's what helped us. And it wasn't cheap, but it was definitely in the long run, it definitely paid off.
And, I think we kind of looked at it based upon previous experience of building businesses of like, okay, do you build it and then like go back and create all the systems and like try to make it work after you like scale so fast? Or do we implement the systems, the processes now
Hmm.
as we grow, right? I mean, there's two ways of doing it, and I can't say that one's right or wrong. I think we've lived the other way, that this way has actually been very nice,
Hmm.
to be able to build with the systems. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely like, wow, we have this integrated system to help facilitate our growth.
Yeah, and the system's not perfect. Like we tried a couple different modules. We tried the estimating
Hmm.
module, the
Hmm.
financial module,
Hmm.
and it took about right now we're at the point of a year and a half, and then growing through some other stuff that we've brought on to realize, okay, we don't need this, we do need this. Let's hold off on this. Some of these integrations that they have, like the Dropbox signature application, is cool how
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
integrates. A little more on the expensive side, not really for us yet, but I can see it paying off down the road. Um, and we decided to get rid of the estimating software. Not We
Hmm.
haven't got rid of it yet. We still have it because you get a
Can't
year
change it.
commitment. You're into it for a year, whether you use it or you don't.
Hmm.
Um, but we decided to go a different route with our estimating software, and it was really a big game changer for us because it was provided us the details and the KPIs we needed to see to maximize our estimates while also staying in the low in the ballpark of being, top three low on a job that we're
Hmm.
estimating. So um, we integrated that in what, August, I think that was.
I think
I think it was
so.
August this year. A product called Heavy Bid. It's typically geared more towards the civil construction side. However, we put a lot of time and effort into building our database for vertical and civil since we do both.
And one thing that I was just thinking about as you were sharing that is just, I hear this often with a lot of business owners. You charge something for your service or product. And sometimes it's a gut feeling, and sometimes it's actually based on data. And
Hmm.
more often than not, if it's the gut feeling, you're not charging enough, right? And if it's based on data, you're seeing exactly where you are, and you could probably see where competitors are, and you can see where buying habits are. So I've talked a lot about this on the show in various episodes in making sure, take the emotion out, use the data. And like as Chris said, the KPIs, the key performance indicators that we set on that software, or that he sets. When I say we, I mean he. Anything numbers related, that's all Chris. Um, we'll get into more of that here in a minute. But it lets you like just make decisions much from a much stronger position than just guessing or looking at post sale data. So it can get you kind of that pre-sale data or the pre-quoting. And
Yeah.
so regardless of what software it is, again, we're talking construction because that's what we do. But you could look at this on any level of business or service that you provide. If you're an accountant, you can look at it. How are you setting your returns that you do for business versus personal? Like any type of thing. If you're a coach or a consultant, the same thing.
Right, but and also like so, couple things about that. And then, how does your software integrate with other softwares?
Yep.
Do they talk to each other across platforms? So we have an interesting stack, and this could go for just what we have, but like everything else. Like if we're using a project management tool, an estimating tool, and now a ERP software for financial. So are they able to talk to each other to save you time from double inputting? I will say the one thing about going with heavy bid, which I really like, is it saves us probably a couple hours per job estimate, per estimate that we do, because it takes a little bit more in the beginning to build up that database. But once it's built, and we do self-perform work as well, it's simply as easy as just plugging in a square footage or plugging in a linear footage, and it calculates out the rest and automatically fills it out. So I can go through, and right before we started this, I just did an NM estimate. And I think I probably had it completed in an hour. I'm just waiting for a couple sub numbers to come back. But so that saved me time right there. From there, once if we win the job and we're successful, how does that integrate with the project management software? And then does the project management software talk to the ERP system? And that's how we came across Foundation.
Which is our last investment.
Last investment, we looked at Sage. We are in QuickBooks. QuickBooks does integrate with our project management software. It doesn't integrate with HeavyBid. So we wanted something that did both, that could allow us to make decisions down the road on maybe we go a different direction, or we do less on Procore, just keep it for project management, and do more with HCSS, which is the HeavyBid company. So this product Foundation can work with both, which is awesome for us because I can do the estimates, import them into Foundation as the budget, and then that system will talk to Procore back and forth as we go through project management. So we have a very accurate depiction of financials on each job.
And I mean, those were questions that we asked during the sales process of being able to pick everything that we want within the service. And so it's very important when you are looking, I think you're hearing this from Chris, like the very forward thinking that he's taking on what decisions he's making for which software that we want to integrate. And I don't know if you even heard, like we used to use QuickBooks, and a lot of businesses can be run on QuickBooks, but then you graduate out where it doesn't have the capabilities to be able to give us the data or analyze the data that we give it in the way that we need to. So always be ready to be like flexible on like, okay, even with Procore, the management software, we used it for estimating, but it wasn't giving us exactly what we needed. So then we looked elsewhere. So I don't think there's anything out there. I mean, I'm going to be very bold to say it. Anything out there in any industry where there is one software and that one software answers all of your needs. You got to be able to be flexible and find out what works for you. And sometimes it's even graduating to the next level. And of course, graduating to that next level, you're also talking about increasing your costs of service.
Yeah. Out of all the three, Procore is by far the most expensive. HeavyBid was more of a upfront cost because of the training. Same thing with Foundation. But as far as a monthly cost goes, HeavyBid's it's going to the same cost as Procore estimating, and Foundation is twice, maybe three times what QuickBooks would have been. So it's not that those two weren't that expensive. They were upfront because we had to pay for training.
Well, and like I look at it as an investment. He's saying expensive, right? Because he's thinking expense. What is this going to cost us? I'm thinking investment. Like I know that this investment into the software and the time and hours to be able to learn these softwares is going to come back 10 fold
Well, Heavy Bit already paid for itself.
in a
I
second.
mean,
Yeah.
then the first job.
Yeah.
So, I'm a huge Heavy Bit fan. So I'm just saying,
He doesn't, we aren't getting like we don't have, I don't have that big of an audience in the AEC or in the construction side to be, we get no kickback
no,
on
there's
this. It's just
nothing.
a software that we love.
Love it.
But I think the one thing that Chris is really good at, and I give him 100% like credit on this when it comes to technology, there is no one faster to implement and learn a software than him. My brain doesn't work that way, so I'm a little bit slower to play the game. And that's one of the things I just wanted to share on here. We were just talking about it today. It's just it's so we've talked about partnerships, Chris and I, on previous episodes. I'll make sure and link all of our episodes that we've done together because if you haven't listened to them, you're gonna want to. And we've talked about partnerships as far as business partners when we've had other business partners, not each other, and it was something we would never do again, ever. But having each other, like that's his strength. I'm not gonna try and like get in his way. I'm just going to get out of the way and let him go there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we're right now in this financial software that we're doing. I can understand enough to be dangerous with it, let's say, but my brain doesn't operate that way. And so for me to go in and understand the ledger and the being able to understand all these different parts, it's not really worth my time investment to be able to do that. I need to understand so that I can help guide people through and be able to even find the answer in the software, even if I can't like know it off the top of my head. But what was really interesting is I actually love data. I do love data. I go back to my pharmaceutical days. I loved reading the patient studies and I loved being able to talk data with the doctors. I loved being able to look at my data when I was in sales and see where the opportunities were and where I was slacking and where I was doing well. I love data. I don't want to be the one to create the data.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. Like it just hit me the other day. I told you I was drying my hair and I was like, oh my God, this foundation software, it's literally, it's one of the most challenging things for me to do. And being uncomfortable, I talk about doing the things that are uncomfortable and it is so uncomfortable for me. And I was like, why is this so hard? And I love data. I love data. And it hit me drying my hair. I was like, I love to analyze data. I can see data and I can see holes, I can see opportunities so quick, and I know the actions that we need to take to be able to fix that or make it better. But someone needs to hand it to me. I can't create it.
That's the challenging part about being a business owner or an entrepreneur, starting out and growing something is you have to.
I know.
You have to be able to do everything all the time, no matter what. And there's a lot of things that you don't want to do, but those are the things I feel like you really have to focus on because it's something's telling you something. Like you can get some value by knowing that or learning that. And so that's a challenging thing for everyone listening. That's not just in construction. It's just like, hey, I started a business, I'm growing, and I'm working 80 hours a week, and I'm doing the financials, I'm doing the estimating, I'm doing the ordering, I'm doing inventory, all this
Sales,
stuff.
I'm doing everything.
And it's like, we've been there, we've go through that, and I like who's the one who has that what's that book, that 80-20 rule?
Oh, 10x is easier than 2x.
I don't think it was that. Is it that one?
It is that one.
I like to live by that. I just like to continue as we grow and we're at an area where I feel like I'm maxed out. I look at where am I spending 80% of my time, and then looking at how do I get that time back? Do I bring someone in? Do I bring a software in to take the 80% of what I'm spending my time doing so I can focus on the 20% of things I should be spending my time on, like business development or other things.
Yeah.
And so that's like just feel everybody out there, like it's challenging, it's tough, it's stressful. We've been there. A lot of people have been there. And I think looking at from that perspective, because that's kind of what helped us decide on
Hmm.
technology as well, was like, I'm spending so much time doing these things. Is there a way that I can replace that? And then didn't need to hire someone. Like everyone thinks, oh, you need to go hire. A lot of people just hire someone, hire an employee, get a fractional CFO, do this, do that. It's like, you don't have to. There's technology out there that can help you. You just have to, it takes a little bit more of a time investment to learn.
To learn to set up, but then once it's going,
Oh,
then you get
that's,
the time back.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think, it's such a great point because there's two ways to look at it, right? Do you delegate? Do you hire? Do you bring on a technology? And then we have AI that's coming that's going to totally change the game,
Hmm.
um, in every industry, regardless. But I think that's something that's been really important for both of us this last year. I think two things. Number one is saying no a lot, like no to events, no to going out and doing certain things, no to opportunities that didn't align with our number one business.
Hmm.
Like just saying no and staying so ridiculously focused on the one thing, like keeping the main thing,
Yeah.
and then also deciding technology for him. I did bring on, I have an incredible VA team, an incredible copywriter to help me with a lot of the marketing efforts that I'm doing, a great videographer, photographer. Like I can't do all of this, but you know what? We're at a point in our business. We weren't. That was me doing everything first. But then as the business grows and it's like, okay, where's my area of specialties? Where's my 20% that I need to like grow and
Hmm.
be stay in and then start pulling it out. So we've done both because we've actually hired field employees this year significantly. I say this year in 2024,
Hmm.
but we also had virtual help. I mean, it's a bit and technology.
Yeah.
So I think it just takes a little bit to get there. But to your point, I couldn't agree more. Like you do have to do everything in the beginning, and
Yeah.
it sucks. It's hard.
Yeah. The technology though is like there's so much out there in so many different industries, like so specific. I mean, if you went out there like, and just picked an industry like legal and said what technology is out there for lawyers, there's going to be tons of to choose from.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just, I think that's one of the cool things about where we're at right now is that you can do so much more on your own and be efficient with a smaller team than having to have the multiple layers of whatever to get things done. Um, and it in the long run, it's less expensive. It is. Now, yeah, I'm not opposed to bringing on people and you get to a point where you just need someone. You need that physical person. You need to be able to look someone in the eyes and the face and like get things done. Technology doesn't solve anything, but everything, but it definitely helps with just the workload in the beginning.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I'm thinking when you were just saying that, I was thinking about a book I read. I believe I mentioned this once or twice in a podcast. I can't remember the number right now, but it's a book called Originals, and it's where eight CEOs, this book I think was in maybe 2012, so slightly dated, not too much, but where eight previous CEOs were analyzed as to why they were so successful in their time. And the number one thing I kept reading over and over again is they weren't overinflated in their hierarchy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think kills a lot of businesses really quick, and specifically in construction. It's like you get so much labor, you get so much overhead, you're just taking jobs to take jobs. You're running your business scared rather than smart and like from strength. And technology is just, I mean, I feel like we're harping on technology, but it's just such a
Yeah.
great way to be able to get more without the significant cost that comes with additional labor. And we are hiring people too. So I don't
Yeah, we're
technology
trying to hire right now.
we're trying to
Two more
hire
people.
two more people right now, like here locally. And so it's technology is great. It will never fully replace people, but man, it can make the people that you have that much more efficient and happy
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. And then,
um,
well, then we can talk a whole nother podcast about getting employees to buy into using it.
oh my
From
gosh.
our level, from what we use, how we use it, it's 99% committed to using it.
Hmm.
And it starts to drop down. I think the lower you get in like in our hierarchy, not necessarily from a like an employee, like, low end, high end range. It just works down from office into field. Field is a little less.
Well, just priorities, right? I think
Yeah.
it's a view of priorities, and it's our job to be able to
Right.
communicate those priorities down there. That's the fun part that we
Yeah.
get to do too. But the one thing I wanted to talk about too, just switching gears, because I want to get your thoughts on it. I've been reading, I've posted some articles on LinkedIn. So if we aren't connected, either one of us, Chris or I on LinkedIn, make sure you connect with us over there. But I've posted a few articles just about AI in construction.
Hmm.
You and I went to Procore, the management software that we talked about, held a huge event, kind of their annual event. They call it Procore Groundbreak. It was last November in Denver at the convention center. And I have to say, coming from the medical industry, this event, they did a fantastic job. I was highly impressed with how well they did on this. Technology company, they're making plenty of money, but they spent it on their people, which was really, really nice to see.
Yeah.
But AI was a hot topic. I mean, it really is kind of everywhere. I was just listening to actually Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan today talking about AI.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's just going to be coming. What are your thoughts? Like, what do you think we're going
I
to see AI, and what do you hope to see from it?
um I don't think it's in our industry. I know people send their knee-jerk reaction is to kind of get a little scared or timid when it relates to it because everyone's like, well, it can't replace. You see the billboards that says AI now build this building. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to, we're not going to see that in our lifetime. At least I don't think. Um, where I think it could help significantly is by catching potential errors and or helping become more efficient with time in the estimating side and potentially in the project management side.
Hmm.
Um, I would like to see it more integrated where it can catch issues. For example, let's say designers may want to use that in the planning phase. If there's a software or system that can review their drawings, and just I don't know how it would be, whether it be their input or previous drawings or how it would analyze, but just being able to identify, hey, you forgot this, or did you think about this, or did you just because everyone's moving so fast is what I think. I hope to see AI would be able to catch potential problems. That's what I hope. And then on the estimating side, it would be nice. I think it will help people like myself, who's the general contractor. We know a little bit about everything, not a lot about one thing. Is help our like educate us a little bit more on certain things and certain systems, to be more educated and efficient with estimating and talking to clients. So
Yeah. I talking to clients is my thing. I'm looking forward to, I just think AI as far as helping with facilitating communication,
yeah.
making it easier. I don't know anybody that loves sitting down to their email box that has 100 plus emails in it and being super excited about being able to respond to all of them. And so should AI respond in my place? No. But is there something that it can learn from the way that I respond based upon the questions that were asked, that it could help me facilitate a response much faster, and or our team being able to communicate, or our clients communicating with us, and all of us working together. I heard this recently from someone in the industry talking about, construction is a dysfunctional ballet. And it's so funny because it is beautiful to watch when you see everybody working together, but it gets dysfunctional sometimes. And when that happens, it's a lack of communication and follow through. And
Hmm.
so that's where I can't wait to see where AI is going to come in and help with that.
Right.
And safety, like you said, like catch issues, but I also think like just safety, just making sure, work sites are safe, and employees everyone can return home at night to
Well,
their families.
having it integrated, like I know Procore talked about
Mhm.
integrating it, how they would do it. I'm curious to see how they start with it. I know it'll evolve, but it would be nice to see like as you get out what you put into that. So if you really put in the information and it knows and it learns, um, how your jobs are run. Maybe you specifically do one type of job and it knows that these things are supposed to be done in 12 weeks. And as you input that information in, maybe it'll flag and be like, hey, look, FYI, this has not been completed. It needs to be done by this date or you're not going to hit your deadline in 12 weeks. Something like where it just assists. Um, I The scary part about that is that the technology company then has access to the way you do things and your trade secrets, and they say they're not going to look into that information, but we all know they're looking into that information, just like Google, just like Facebook, just like Gmail.
Just like your Apple phone is listening to
Exactly.
you all the time.
So, as long as you're okay with that, and then it should work.
You should be fine. You should be fine. All right, let's switch gears here a second. And I just want to talk a little bit more. This is I mean, we've worked together before, but like on this business, we had a big year last year. There was
Hmm.
a lot of learning, a lot of growth. And I'm just kind of curious when you think about like last year, what's something that like what's a fond memory that you have from what we did or what the business did last year or what you did?
Hmm. Well, I don't know if I have a specific fond memory, but I'm very grateful for a specific relationship that I've built upon in 2024, that has enabled us to do and have opportunities to do really great things. Very thankful for them believing in us, giving us a shot, and it's been a great year working with them and looking forward to continuing to do so in long-term relationships going forward, and not only from a business side but a personal perspective. So I would say that's the one thing that, sticks out the most for business-wise 2024.
It's funny. I have two things. One is I feel like while there were many bumps in the road for us, this year actually is 20 years for us being married.
Hmm.
I feel like we're doing something that most people run away from, and that's working with your spouse. And so, like, I'm proud that we're sticking through the hard just as much as we are, enjoying the good.
Hmm.
And, we have a crazy year planned with the kids. And I've shared on the show before just how, like, being able to travel with the kids and do the stuff like together is like this business is doing it. And it's so cool to be able to do it together.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And number two, I gotta say, is actually the relationships. It's so funny because, I worked in an industry where previously where back in this is like '04, it was highly relationship based. It was highly relationship based. And then it got into more of a transactional, right? Like what have you done for me lately?
Hmm.
Kind of like who spent the most money on me, type of a thing is like how you got relationships. And I felt like I remember at the end like feeling sick from it because I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. This doesn't feel good with like my values and my core value system. And as funny as it sounds, like, and I've shared this before, that I had judgment about the industry, right? You think construction, I'm talking specifically the C in AEC construction, you think just some guy sitting on the side of the road not working very hard, right? And I've shared this on other episodes, and anyone in the AEC industry or in the construction side can call me out for this right now, but like it the relationships and the watching everybody work together, like watching you and the supers and everybody and like me come in and integrate kind of the marketing and pulling together the client and doing all this stuff, like all the relationships is so fun.
Yeah.
It is so fun and it's so neat and it's like you want to do better. Like it's not that transaction like one and done. Like,
Right.
okay, thank you, see you later, goodbye. And I felt that in the financial industry. I felt that at the end of the pharmaceutical. I've felt it, more than I would like to say in the equine industry. We're so transactional, like, let me just get the sale and screw you on it.
Hmm.
Where like this, it's like, no, we really want to do well. We really want the building owner, we want to be done on time because then, the property owner can start collecting rent. We like it's like this sense of urgency of excitement.
Hmm.
And I just, the more and more that I get into it, the more I just love it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the
Very exciting.
relationships, yeah, there's not like it's funny because everyone's like, they think about automating things. They think about doing an email system or like drip campaign or automatic responders to emails. And like, that's the one thing, like AI writing your emails and responding to it. But like, and I feel like maybe that might work. Like, I don't know what about anybody else, but I do not like just having no way to talk to anyone when I'm trying to get help on something online, specifically like if you like, I don't know, use Gmail as an example or Google, like they give you a chat assistant that now is AI. It doesn't do anything. It's pointless. It just pisses me off. So like in our industry, what I do love about it is that it's still, and I think will always be, relationship-based business that is a lot of personal interactions with people, all trying to achieve the same goal.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard that a lot, right? It's like, man, we're all just so focused on this end goal. Like just
Yeah.
keep pushing towards the end goal. And when you get good teammates, and teammates, I mean like industry collaborators, not just people that work for us, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, in the construction industry, what is something that drives you mad, that frustrates you?
Um,
I know mine, but what's yours?
lately, I mean, it changes. It depends what I'm dealing with on a daily basis.
And I think it's good to just kind of like talk about the stuff
Lately,
in our industry.
I would say it's fire related subcontractors. Um, in Arizona, I don't know where people are listening from. In Arizona, all fire is done as a deferred submittal, meaning the architects basically just kick it back to the fire contractor to do the design, to do their sprinklers or alarms. Um, this time, 3 times this year, we've been kind of burned by fire subcontractors not doing what they're supposed to be when they're supposed to do it. And so they're kind of like in their own island here in Arizona where like you bring them on, you hire them, and they just kind of do their thing. Like it's do the design, submit the plans, come out, we'll let you know when we're ready for install and just install. So you hear them talk to them in the beginning, then you see them at the end. I don't know if they're just too busy. There's a lot of personnel changes. People, especially towards the holidays, ended up going on vacation and just saying, I'll just file for that permit when I come back after 2 weeks. The problem is the information that keeps getting into us is we're ready, we're ready, we're ready, we're ready until we're ready to call for final. And they're like, we don't have a permit. We forgot to submit. And so that's been what's frustrating me lately has been working with fire contractors. And so internally, we're changing some of the ways we deal with them.
Well, it forces us to become better.
Yeah.
As general, it forces us to become better at the
Yeah.
end of the day. And it just all goes back to whoever you partner with, and I say partner, it's not like a physical business partnership, but whoever you are going to work with is, you know, I keep thinking about like one of our core values, right? Equally yoked,
Yeah.
right? Is like we want them to be running this race at the same pace.
Yeah.
Period. And obviously our fire contractors or those three aren't running our race. And so they don't get to run our race anymore. But it gets hard sometimes when there's not a lot to choose from, and
Yeah.
that, I
And
mean,
and I'm a second chance guy. Like
you
I
are.
believe in that. So like, I mean, stuff happens. This was the thing is there are 3 different subs. It wasn't the same sub. So I'm like, what is going on here? So like that was telling me, I reflect back on that and say, how do we make it better?
Yep.
Because clearly it wasn't one sub that screwed up 3 times. It was 3 separate big companies, one small, two big. And so we need to like change how we do things internally. Like this is I can only control what I can control.
Yep.
And so, that's pretty much the name of the game of being a general contractor is control and controlling your job site and controlling your subs and controlling the project. And so that was one area that was a little probably slacking on our side, just because they are their own contractor, deferred submittal, do their own plans, so they're kind of like left out there a little bit. But now we're really roping that back in to manage that a lot more,
Hmm.
and put those pieces in place to prevent the speed bumps from happening.
Yep. Yep. Well, and that can tie into what mine is. You probably know what mine is. Do you know? How just decisions are made based solely on low bid.
Oh,
So on the commercial side of things versus residential, residential is very touchy-feely. We do not let me repeat, do not do residential at all. God, we could do a whole podcast on why we don't do that.
Mhm.
But we love, enjoy, and focus, and our expertise is on the commercial side of things. And when it comes to that, this is business, and we get it. You're making business decisions, the client is making business decisions, and low bid comes into it. But oftentimes, you know, GCs will submit bids that are are low bid on paper, but they aren't low bid at the end of the job. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, there's been projects that we've lost where we weren't low bid, but then you hear back after that it was like 15 to 20% higher at the end because things were missed.
Mhm.
And because we're so thorough, it's just this like thing that drives me mad. And that's why I'm having a lot of fun kind of shaking things up in the way that we're marketing and the way that we're building relationships is just very different than before. It's funny how your past comes back up in the future to be able to help you. And I think that's the thing is like having some of our clients like fight for us means the world to us is that they know like we're going to do the job for the job on time. Like we're going to do these things. And so it's really helping the industry move past like, oh, this is the way it's always done is just low bid. Well, we kind of have to look at other things now. What technologies are the companies doing? How many employees do they have? Do we need to be able to sub out? What do they self-perform versus not?
Yeah.
How are they actually adding value into it? Do they just do exactly what's on the plan, or do they notice something might be off once they broke into the wall and there's a problem? Like, do they bring it up or not? Are
And
they nice to work with? Like, there's other things besides low bid, and that's
that
what drives me crazy.
brings up a good point. Like AI could assist in that by assigning performance ratings to individual contractors, subcontractors, and architects and designs. You
They got to be working on that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something because it was almost like a bid leveling system where if you're submitting numbers and you got three or four or five bids, maybe based on if there are contractors that have worked with that company in the past, they can track what was their delivery time like, what was their change order time like, what are these items so you can actually really get a true cost of construction for the incidentals and the unknowns based on previous experience or previous past history.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's going to be out there and that will help. It'll weed out certain things like
Oh, I think
it'll
it'll
make
be
everyone be better. Everyone will have to get better.
well, and it will weed out the ones that are unwilling or unable to get better, and the ones that are willing to get better will like
Yeah.
they'll take it on and run with it and look at it as feedback. And that's something honestly, I think I've learned from you more than I can say is like when something happens, you do not get most of the time you do not get offended, but you're like, man, we can be better. Like, how can we do? Okay, that's the new standard. Oh, that's what we're going to do now.
Hmm.
Like, I just think when you have that, it's really helped me in different things. When I'm handling yeah, some of the media stuff and some of the marketing initiatives, I'm like, oh, okay, that one didn't go exactly how I wanted. How can I be better this time?
Yeah.
How can I be better for them? So
It forces you when you're in an industry that every day is literally problems all day. You can only you choose like to fight them and be mad at
mhm.
them all day, or you can just be like, okay, how do we fix that? How do we not let that happen again? This is what
Yep.
we're gonna do.
hmm
So
Yeah. No, I think that there's been some really great stuff. I'm looking at our boards right now. It's a very busy year. I feel like we're drinking from a fire hose right now. That's how I feel with everything that we have going on, plus the kids and different plans that we have for them.
yeah,
So, I think we could wrap it up
yeah,
because I feel like, we just wanted to come on here, talk a little bit of technology, share our thought processes in what that looks like as business owners as we're making these investments. I think going through like my hesitations of the financial software, but I got to learn it. I don't want to, it's really hard. But also staying grounded in what you are really good at too,
yeah,
I think is really important.
yeah.
So. Um, Make sure that you stay tuned. We have some really actually I'm going through some decisions right now on some new things that we're going to be doing. So make sure that you are subscribed wherever you are, Spotify. And if you haven't yet, don't forget, tap 5 stars, leave a quick review. It really helps the show get out and get more people just like you. So thanks so much. And don't forget to take more action.